And yesterday you didn't have any issues
No,
with that at all.
nope. Seemed like it was working fine.
I wonder if it was just a solo person, if that maybe would do it.
I don't know. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, you wanna just go ahead and we'll just act like we're recording this.
But we're not.
Oh, no, we are.
Okay.
We actually are.
Okay.
All right. So here we are at Malarkey's for
Malarkey's
the
on the square in Wausau.
on the square in Wausau for the initial inaugural
Debut.
first ever test trial run of the BS report. Brian College here with Scott Williams. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Glad to be at Malarkey's. Great place. Glad they let us do this here. And
Yeah, it was very nice of them to accommodate all of our equipment here and get us some power. So that was pretty good. It's a nice day out too.
beautiful day. Beautiful fall day.
Yeah. Did you have any of the storms last night, or?
We had major storms, yes. Kept my little doggy up for a little bit, but she got over it. So
Nice deal.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about local sports here in the Wausau area. Check in on some of the local teams, and then check in maybe a little bit on the Packers and the Brewers, and we'll take it from there.
Sounds good, Brian.
All right, so football's on everybody's mind. We're about halfway through the season now,
Yep.
the regular season for prep sports, football in particular. What have you seen so far? You've been to a couple of games and you've done some of the roundup stuff too. What are you seeing from some of the area teams?
Yeah, a halfway point. I think we have a pretty good idea, at least of what the teams are made of and what they can look forward to here the rest of the season. Brian, I think first off, I want to start with it was awesome seeing Wausau East get off to that great 3-0 start this year. That was wonderful to see. It's a program that hasn't enjoyed a lot of success in recent years, and that was nice to see. Best start since 2004. They've run into a little bit of some hurdles here and some obstacles, and have a very tough game this week at Tom Field against Medford, unbeaten, I believe ranked in the top 10 for sure in their division.
Yeah.
I think around 7th. So it's going to be a tough one to get back on track for them, end this 2-game skid. But they have a great ground game with Mr. Leverett running the ball. A big line. They're a big team. They're a physical team. But they've just kind of run into some good teams here recently.
Yeah.
And you like to see them kind of get that back on track and kind of build on that start here.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think you make a good point. It's good to see them get off to that 3-0 start. I was at the log game, did a report on that, and West was definitely the better team on Friday night, and they haven't had much success at all. They came into it 0-3, but they've got some athletes that I remember from basketball when I kind of started covering stuff up here last year. So Zeronis is one of those guys. They've got Logan White as a receiver. He's got some ability. Their running back had 170 some yards.
Yeah,
scored
sophomore.
a touchdown, sophomore. So I think it's a huge win for West. When I talked to Coach Foster afterwards, he said if you don't win this one, you've got 51 weeks to think about it. And so, just within it's the first time I've experienced the log game, and there is, there's a rivalry and there's some bragging rights that go on. I mean, I think at the end of the day, everybody's kind of friends and everybody gets along and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's a huge win for West, and East really struggled running the ball, and I think that was what kind of caused their downfall in that game, because they have been pretty dominant up to this point.
I saw West opening game of the year against Hortonville, and their coach commented on Mark Sipple at
Yes,
linebacker,
yep, yeah,
saying
he's
he was
a
one of the
beast.
best
Yeah.
linebackers they have ever seen, and he can shut down a running game. So, and I think East found that out again in the log game.
Yeah, you're right. I should have mentioned him too. He's a monster. He's a really good linebacker. Obviously, probably one of the better linebackers in the state, and also they threw him in at running back a little bit too. So
Yep.
With him and then the sophomore kid, it was a tough attack to stop. Everest at this point, I will be at Wausau West versus Everest on Friday night. Should be an interesting game. Everest came out to a huge lead, or got out to a huge lead against Rapids last week, and Rapids kind of crept back. It looked like it was over in the first half.
Yeah, 28-0 at
Yeah.
half. Evergreens. Yeah.
Then they crept back in it, but they did pull out that win. I saw Everest play once earlier this season against Oshkosh West. They won that game. They look pretty good. They've got some athletes. Halambeck is a receiver. Ostrowski is their quarterback. And I think it's going to be a pretty good matchup. And again, you have that kind of cross-town. It's not the log game, and maybe there's not like a trophy that like the other team gets or whatever, but it's still kind of one of those rivalry type matchups.
Right. Brian, can you just maybe comment just where do you think this game will be decided? You've seen both teams. It sounds like they're pretty similar. So what does it come
Yeah.
down to, you think, in your eyes?
I think if it's a tall task, but I think for Everest to be successful, they have to stop the run. And having said that, West does have some receivers too. So I think it's sort of like, I think that each team has to play well defensively to give themselves a chance to win. I'm not as familiar with Everest. I just have seen them that one time. And it seemed to me that their passing game was a little bit more productive than their running game in that one that I saw. But yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the same things. It's not making mistakes, not turning the ball over, those types of things, not penalties like back-breaking penalties that can hurt you. So probably the team that commits fewer turnovers and makes fewer mistakes is going to come up with the win.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we do have an unbeaten team here in the Wausau area.
We do.
Newman Catholic.
Newman Catholic.
Ranked second
Fighting
in
Cardinals.
the eight-player, not eight-man, eight-player division.
Second in the state, and number one in our hearts.
Right. Without a question.
So.
And amazingly, they had an all-state quarterback come back this year, Ben Bates. Got hurt. Haven't skipped a beat the last 2 weeks here with Dylan Ackerman getting the job done at quarterback for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of an interesting story because last year was their first year as an 8-man player team. And they were highly successful last year. And I guess just for a program to make that shift from 11-player to 8-player and to have the kind of success that they've had, because they've drilled everybody this season. It was kind of the same case last year.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. And I kind of looked through their schedule, and it's looking pretty favorable, I would say, for them for the remainder of the season.
That's interesting. That you said they just recently switched to 8-man, and it is a different game. You have to credit Coach Micklig with being able to kind of adapt. I know Port Edward switched recently to 8-player as well, and they struggled a little bit kind of adapting to the different style, and it's a more wide open offensive-minded style, and the Cardinals haven't skipped a beat. They're putting up points left and right every game, and I guess only Luck is ranked ahead of them right now, and I don't know if they played during the regular season, but the Cardinals have it rolling, that's for sure.
Yeah, and again, it's good to see that. I know that programs struggled in the conference that they were in prior to being an 8-player team, and when you're a small school and you're going against some powerhouse football teams like we're in that conference, it can be tough. And so it's good to, they're having some success now, and it's kind of mind-boggling when you look at the statistics and the scores that come in on Friday nights, because they've put up a lot on their opponents.
They really have, and it doesn't seem to matter who's playing quarterback. I mean, Thomas Bates is running the ball for him. Charlie McCarty is on the receiving end of a lot of touchdowns, it seems, every game, and until through 5 weeks, no one's been even come close to trying to stop that team. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Switching gears a little bit, we've both seen a little bit of soccer.
Yep.
You were at the Spash and Wausau West game last night, which put West into a tie for first place.
Tie with Marshfield.
After they were beaten by Marshfield earlier in the week.
Last week. Yep.
What are you seeing out of the conference as far as soccer goes?
I think it's clearly kind of the cream has kind of risen to the top in that conference. It's a 3-team race: Marshfield, Spash, and Wausau West. Marshfield wins over West and Spash through the first round of the conference play. So I don't know if that makes them kind of what you would consider the favorite, but I was very impressed with West. They got scored on less than 4 minutes into the match last night and shrugged it off, scored 40 seconds later to tie it, and 7 minutes later they had the lead. And then their defense is rock solid. They got some really good guys on the back line, and Noah Konizek is a really aggressive, strong, communicative goalie.
Yes.
He talks a lot, which is very important.
That's one thing, if I can just stop you for a second. When West played Everest, it was maybe a couple of weeks ago now, I was at that game. And that's one thing I noticed, was that the communication among the West players was phenomenal. And they kind of got them on their heels early in that first half. And and then it was just sort of like felt like the game was over. So they're good at communicating and kind of lifting each other up.
Yeah, very good. And it's from one end of the field to the other
Yeah.
end of the field. They're all talking to each other. They tell each other what's going on. Kinesics always telling them to keep the pressure on. That they're doing a great job, and you know, as high school kids, I think that helps. It gives you confidence and it keeps you motivated. And I was very impressed with the way they responded against Spash, who is a very good team. Owen Williams is a very good player for
Yeah.
them, and is a threat to score anytime he touches it. And Kinesic made a couple point blank saves that I don't know if a lot of keepers would have made. So he did his job, and that was a big win for them here moving into the second half. Their coach mentioned, Coach Zarnoda, that they've played a lot of home games so far,
Yeah.
which always benefits. You're always better at home. So he says they're going to have to go on the road a lot here in the second
Right.
round of the conference, and it'll be interesting to see how they react on the road.
Yeah, it should be an exciting kind of second half because I think you're right. There's 3 teams that are kind of at the top right now, and they're probably going to keep the pressure up on each other, you know, as things unfold.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a case where they beat up on each other, and maybe we have a 3-way tie at the end.
Right,
One
right.
One of those things.
Kind of crazy things.
Yep.
How do you think that the level of soccer in Central Wisconsin kind of stacks up against the rest of the state?
You know, I've been kind of looking at some of the non-conference results for all the teams in the area, and it's interesting. I know that kind of DC Everest is 500 right now as a soccer team, and they're a team that threatens to score. Tamarack Knutson's probably the best goal scorer
Yeah, he's very athletic.
in the conference and in this area for sure.
Yeah.
So he gives them a chance to score anytime he touches the ball. Their question marks, I think, are on the defensive end of the field. West is solid from back to front. This Nicholas Roch, who
Yeah.
also doubles as the place kicker for
Right,
the Warriors, is a threat. You can tell that he's dangerous when he gets the ball in scoring positions. So he gives them a scoring threat. And we haven't seen Marshfield, so we really don't know
hard to
what
say,
they
yeah.
offer. But they have some good wins non-conference here, DC Everest and West, and I think it's pretty solid. I don't know if you can compete with the Madison area teams and the Milwaukee area teams
Right.
yet, but you don't have to beat those teams to get to states, so they have to beat each other
Right.
in the sectional and regionals. So I think that bodes well for someone perhaps making it out of here from the valley and getting down to state.
Sure. Volleyball.
Volleyball,
Seen a little
one of the
bit.
favorite sports.
Yeah, well, and
yes,
it's
of the
such a
fall.
weird start to the season because it's like there's the sprawl, right? That's in Stout, and that's a million teams and a million divisions and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. And then it's like they play 2 conference games, and then it's the conference meet, the first half of it, which we just got past.
Yep, this past Saturday. Yep.
And now it's sort of like you're kind of actually getting into the meat of the season.
Yes.
I think at the beginning of the season, I talked to when Kathy Newton won her 700th game for Wassa West. That they
Which is pretty amazing.
it's you know, and she's been coaching for 35 years, which is that's a long time.
And that's 20 wins a year.
Yeah,
That's
it's
nothing
crazy.
to.
Yeah, it's nothing to sneeze at.
No.
But she felt like they lost a lot last year, but they also had some experience coming back. You know, I mean, they lost a lot of starters, but they had players who had played last year who are back on the team. They played against Spash earlier. You went to that game.
Yep.
Took it on the chin a little bit.
They did.
But-
They got handled a little bit in that one.
And Spash is really good, and I think they're
Yeah.
undefeated in conference play.
Believe so,
to
yeah.
this point. What did you see out of West?
West it has an interesting dynamic. They have a great setter. They had 2 sophomores last year who earned all conference. The setter is Grace Michalski, however you pronounce that, and they have a hitter who was a sophomore, Robin Kirsch. Very athletic, can sky. Not the tallest girl in the world, but very athletic and can sky. And they go to her all over the court. They'll set her from the backcourt. They'll set her from the wings. So they have that. And I talked to Coach Newton after that match, and she was disappointed in their defense, which she considers like the staple of that program and that team this year. And they weren't very good defensively. And I think that's an area that they need to shore up, and I think they have shored up. They've been pretty solid
Yeah.
since that Spass match. And they do have a couple other hitters that are threats. Anna Cunningham is one of them, who hits in the middle a lot and is very good. So I think if they can shore up that defense, they're good serving the ball. if they can shore up that defense, they could make a run here down the stretch and threaten them when they get Spash on their home court this second
Right.
time through.
Yeah, it's funny. Not funny. It was interesting talking to Kathy about, she's really got this philosophy that it's not so much about like, especially early in the season, it's like wins and losses. It's kind of like she places a lot more emphasis on getting better as a team.
Yeah.
And so I would assume and imagine that they're going to be stronger, when they play Spash that second time than probably they are at the beginning of the season. And every team probably should be better towards the end of the season. But it just kind of goes along with her philosophy. When I talked to her about that 700th win, she's like, I didn't really think about wins and losses that much. It's more just like developing players and developing like team chemistry and that kind of stuff. So it was an interesting perspective.
Yeah, she was. You could tell she was very disappointed to get swept by Spash, but maybe in hindsight it'll turn out to be a good
Right.
thing, and let the girls know that they have some stuff to work on, and in order to turn things around,
Yeah.
they need to get better in certain areas, and they have some time here to do that.
And
Before,
of course, last year's like in the regional final, it was Spash and West
West.
at Rapids.
correct.
West went up 2-0 and then ended up losing 3-2.
Right.
And so that was kind of a crazy thing.
And I
too.
believe they split during the regular season that
Yeah,
year.
yeah, I think so. And and I was at the one that was up here actually in Wausau, and it was the same kind of situation where West jumped out to a lead, and Spash came back and won that game. Anyways,
yeah,
for all of you volleyball history nuts out there,
That's right.
So,
You
yeah,
know, it's a
cool.
fun sport. And they get very good crowds at those matches. So it's very entertaining. It's nice. You can see a lot of athleticism out on the court on both sides.
pretty quick pace.
Quick
too.
pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun sport to watch and cover.
Yeah, I did go to DC Everest and Newman. Obviously, it's almost more of an exhibition game. It's sort of like a community fundraiser type thing, raising awareness for and money for the Neighbor's Place in town food pantry and community kind of like organization. And Newman looks good.
Yeah,
They
again.
they look real good.
Yeah.
I mean, Betty Ling obviously knows what she's doing, and she's been part of a program that's been highly successful over the last however many years. But they just got back one of their big hitters. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name, but she was out with mono actually, and so
Okay.
it's sort of like these incremental steps to just getting energy
Oh, boy.
back and being able to play. But so their record at that time was like 7-9, and I think they've won twice. They beat DC Everest, and then I think they won just recently last night, maybe. So they're, I think, back to full strength, and so they're probably only going to get better as the season goes on. Everest is a team that is very young and has a first-year coach,
Okay.
and so they're sort of feeling their way through the whole thing, I think, right now. But they definitely have some athletes, and I was actually pretty impressed with the way that they got swept 3-0, but against Newman. But the way they came back in the second set and then third set, I think it was tied at 20-20 at one point. So they pretty much battled the whole way.
Okay.
And I think there's probably some positives coming from there too. So
Yeah, I mean, Newman seems like they live at the Resch Center in
Yeah.
Green Bay for the state tournament every year. So
Yeah.
the way you made it sounds like they have a chance to get back there again this year.
yeah, and I don't know as much about their division and sort of like how that all stacks up exactly, but they've got they're two kind of like middle hitters. They're big and strong, and they hit it hard. And you can stop them here and there and maybe get a block here and there, but I mean, for 3 straight sets, trying to deal with them is a handful because they pound it. They're strong, and they know how to get the ball to those girls. Lauren Shields, which a lot of people who maybe aren't familiar with volleyball would recognize her from basketball, but she's sort of a floor general. Does a little bit of like do everything. Swiss
Gotcha.
Army knife is what I called her in my story.
Right.
So I think they've got the pieces, and like I said, I don't know as much about their division, so I can't say they're going to face whoever in the sectional final or anything like that. But I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah, you did a really nice job on that event between Newman
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
and Everest in the Wausau Pilot and Review. And I think people should probably check that out if they haven't.
Yeah.
You did a really nice job.
And every
so.
other story. Real quick, girls golf. They might be playing today.
I believe.
Yeah.
Well, they played yesterday. I know we got some results on yesterday's. I didn't
Yeah.
happen to see them, but
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same story all the way along.
Every
where
leg,
Spash is-
yeah.
Yeah, Spash is first and Wausau's second. Same thing last night. I think Jasmine Yang of Wausau, who's been medalist at least 2 times, maybe 3. She actually finished, I think, 4th last night. And Abby Nickel from Spash has, I believe that her total score at this point is, the number of points that she has is 70.5, and Jasmine has 70.
Ooh.
So it's that close coming down to the last.
Nice. And so much of that is depending on the course. Some courses suit some girls so much better than other courses, and I believe they're at Marshfield Country Club coming up
Yeah,
here,
it could
or maybe that was yesterday.
It's hard to keep it all straight.
So it's great. I think makes for a lot of interest in what's going to happen here down the stretch. I think Spash pretty much has the team thing wrapped up, but it'll be interesting to see if Jasmine and Abby see who can pull out the medalists.
Yeah, and I don't know how long Wausau East and Wausau West have been combined.
Yeah, it seems relatively
I think
new.
it might
Maybe
be
last year or this year, first time.
But for them to be playing this well, sort of as one unit, Spash has been good for a long time.
Yeah, Mark Lisinski's done a good job.
Yeah,
with that
I don't know how
program.
many conference titles in a row it's been, but it's been a lot.
And those Nickel girls seems like they've been there for
they just
25
never stop
years.
coming.
Yeah,
I know
right.
it's just one after another.
Yeah.
But and they're all good.
Yes.
But I think the Wausau team to have some success, if they finish second in the conference, that's nothing to sneeze at, especially for a younger program combining
Yes.
schools. So I think there's a bright future, and I don't know what year Jasmine is,
I'm not sure myself.
but
so.
she's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, she is.
and maybe has a future beyond high school
Right.
playing golf. So
Yep.
who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully she can get the job done here, finish it off,
Yeah.
and get herself a
That'd be
conference
cool.
championship.
Yeah,
So, yep.
definitely. That might just about do it for what we know.
I just wanted to bring up
Yeah.
maybe one more thing, Brian. Just
Yeah.
tennis in the area
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's girls' tennis season. Boys get the spring to themselves, but it's girls' tennis season, and we have a couple of really good singles players in this area. Over at Wausau West is Natasha Bailey,
Mm-hmm.
who pretty much routinely puts up 6-love wins at number
Just
one
like
singles
you
for the
on the
Warriors.
court.
Well, when I played, in my prime. Now I pretty much let team guys win 2 games or so.
Sure,
a set,
just
so-
kind of string them along. a
Right.
little bit,
Yeah, I wanted them to feel good coming off the
Yeah.
court at least, So
Makes sense.
she has a killer instinct, and she's been very impressive. And Becky Lorraine over at Newman Catholic has been destroying the competition. Her sister, I believe it's her sister, won the Division II state singles title last year. Mia Lorraine. So she's following those footsteps and seeing if she can bring another state championship home to that Lorraine household there. So 2 really good tennis players, and we have a good cross country runner over at Wausau West.
Yeah.
Ryan Hartman.
Yeah.
He's won a couple big meets here early in the season.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Spash Invitational and the Smiley.
Yes.
I mean, those are, you talk about sheer numbers. The Smiley, there's got to be, it seems like 1,000.
Yes.
I don't
Right.
think it's 1,000 kids that are out there running, but it sure feels like it if you've ever been to it.
Yep.
And that's a pretty impressive feat
Yes.
to win those 2. And the Spash Invitational is a big one too. Where
Yes.
they bring in schools from all over the place.
Probably
So,
the 2 biggest ones in the area.
yeah, I think so. And cross country is obviously an interesting sport because the sectional meet is what it's all about.
Yes.
You want to win conference, and Spash has again been sort of like the dominant force in cross country for 20 some years.
Yes, I believe they have 40 straight conference titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boys at
Yeah,
least.
140.
Not 140.
Yeah.
Could be.
But it's all about the sectional race. Even for Spash, it is. I mean,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
and so it's going to be interesting to see where Hartman ends up in that sectional, and hopefully makes it to state.
Yeah, he's been pretty darn good right now, and beating some good competition, which makes it even more impressive.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. So let's get to
The big dogs,
the big dogs.
the guys making the big bucks.
Because I know people care what our opinions
Oh,
are about.
There's
pros.
no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the inside scoop
That's
on
why we
these
keep it
teams.
towards the end. It's
Right,
like we
right.
force you to go through the whole show.
It's the whole suspense, keeping you in suspense.
What are they going to
thing.
say about
Right,
it?
right. And of course, we're talking about
Well, either one. I mean, let's start with the Brewers.
Brewers.
I don't follow baseball as closely as most. I lived in Milwaukee for 7 years, and those were the Jeffrey Hammonds kind of years.
One flap down.
Jeff Jenkins, some of those guys. those are probably the only two players. Ben Grieve maybe was on that one of those teams. You know the years I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Easily forgettable.
Yes, very
And-
much so. They had a lot of those years.
Yeah, I used to. Actually, there was one year that it might have still been in County Stadium, where it was so empty that I caught 7 T-shirts through the course of the season because nobody else was there to get them.
Did you keep them?
I did at the time, but they're gone now.
They're gone now.
I know it's probably
Are
worth
they
millions of dollars. I should've put a time
cleaning
capsule.
rigs right now or what?
It must be somewhere.
But anyways, they're
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you're kind of looking at the Cubs and you're thinking, this is going to be a problem.
yeah. I mean, they're being outscored by more than 30 runs for the season.
Yeah,
And then they lose
the best.
arguably one of the
player.
top
Yeah.
3 players in the game
Yeah.
in Christian Yelich to a broken
Reigning
kneecap
MVP.
of all things.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, oh well,
Yeah, this is-
it was a nice run. At least we made the league championship series of the year before.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to work when Yelich is healthy next spring.
Right.
So, but man,
What a-
somehow they've
It's
they
just-
found something here.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
The September Magic, they're calling it.
Yeah, I think I saw some statistic today that was like their chances of making the playoffs 2 weeks ago was like 12%, something like that. And the
Yep.
Cubs was like 60,
Yep.
70, something like that. And now,
Now they're in the 90. Yeah, now the
99%, and-
Brewers are in the 90s.
yeah, it's just nuts. But
Magic number of 1. You
Yeah.
need 1 win, or Cubs, and I believe the other team that's left is the Mets,
yeah,
or one of their losses, and they're in
yeah.
the wild card.
So I mean, what's your analysis after that? I mean, what's going to happen?
You know-
assuming that we win a game
Right.
or it works out the magic number.
Right, they have
we're actually-
5 games left.
Yep.
2 with the Reds, and
Yeah.
then they go to Colorado for 3.
Yeah.
They need 1 win to qualify for the playoffs,
Yeah.
to clinch playoff berth. I think we can assume the way they're playing, since they're 18-4 in September, they're probably going to get a win. I think the key, to be honest with you, they have found something when you can expand your rosters to like 80 players in September 1st. They're
Sure.
allowed to bring as many players as
Call-ups,
you
yeah.
want. They really know how to tweak that, especially with the pitching staff. Let guys go. They don't even care if their starters go
Right.
5 to qualify for wins. Just give us 4 good innings.
Yeah.
Keep us in the game. Then we'll go to the rest of the 80 guys we have in the bullpen.
Right.
And it seems to have really worked, and they scored just enough. I saw a stat, I think, in yesterday's game against the Reds where they're hitting like 229 in September, which is horrible, but they find a way to score enough runs with the pitching they've been getting, which has been like second in the league
Yeah.
here in September, to get it done. And it's just been an amazing run. And this state is Brewer mad. They love the Brewers.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that the following they have, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, Brian.
I mean, it's crazy to think, if Yelich were back.
You wonder, you know?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be obviously that's not going to happen this year, but as well as they're playing without him, it's just like and then you add a MVP candidate, probably the batting champ,
Yep. Right.
to that mix again over the
Again.
last 2 weeks, and you've got that momentum going into the playoffs. It's hard to say,
Yeah. You just hope they can keep this going. You gotta love the momentum they do have going right now. Looks like it's going to be a Washington Nationals Brewers wild card game for the right to play the Dodgers, who
Yeah.
are a heck of a juggernaut
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the divisional round. But just to get there is a heck of an accomplishment. And I think you have to give Craig Counsell some credit.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, to be, in this position where you're heading to the playoffs 2 years in a row or whatever, it's back, like I said, back in the day.
I think the last time it's happened, I think I read today, was 91-92.
Yeah.
Was the last time they went back to back in the playoffs. So
That's been a while.
they got it rolling, and it's fun, and they're fun to watch. They seem to be having fun, which I think us fans appreciate.
Yeah.
They don't make it look like a job; they make
Yeah.
it look like a game, and
Right.
that's the
right.
way it should be.
Speaking of having fun, your Green Bay Packers.
My Green Bay Packers.
3-0 to start the season. I guess just what were your thoughts going into this season, and how has the reality matched up to what you kind of expected?
Brian, I coming into the season, I thought those free agent additions of Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Adrian Amos at safety were going to be huge. I thought those were great pickups, money well spent. I thought the defense was going to be so much better because those are exactly the type of players that Mike Pettin the defensive coordinator for the Packers, loves. They fit the measurements exactly. That's why he had top 10, top 5 defenses when he was the defensive coordinator for the Jets in
yeah.
Cleveland. And now they got those kind of players, and he's showing what he can do with those kind of players. So I thought the defense would be vastly improved, which for the Green Bay
Unbelievably
Packers
good.
is something that
It
I think
is-
leaves the
it's-
fan base in shock.
I mean, at 2010, 2011
Was the last
maybe.
time 10
Yeah.
when they won the Super Bowl
Yeah.
against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Really was the last time their defense was something to even be
Yeah.
confident in. And I think right now the fan base really believes in that defense and has every right to believe in that
Right.
defense.
Right.
I think in Kevin King and Jair Alexander,
Yeah.
you have lockdown cornerbacks. Darnell Savage is a heck of a draft pick at safety for a rookie. He brings speed, and he understands that defense already. Adrian Amos is just so rock solid. He's always where he's supposed to be. And that line does a heck of a job. I saw something from Patton today that they wanted to shut down the running game, and people are a little concerned about the running game on
Sure.
that side of the bar.
Yeah. I mean, we
But
got-
they've just made
yeah.
they've just had some issues and not performed or executed the way they needed to against the running game. So
Sure.
he thinks
That's
they're
fixable.
very capable of doing that.
Let me tell you before you continue what I like about the defense. First of all, is that we have one because it's been a while.
Well, they did have 11 players out there these past couple of years.
I didn't.
Right.
Did they?
Yes.
Can we get
Yeah,
to see
okay,
some
all
footage
right.
of that? But the thing that I like about this defense is, you named off all the guys, but what I like seeing is like, if a tight end makes a catch over the middle and then Savage comes up and hits him, you got 3 or 4 guys running after him, the Packers defenders I'm talking about, and they get up and they trash talk to the guy that's down on the ground,
Right.
and they are all thumping their chest, and there's a little bit of nastiness, you know what I'm saying, to that
Yes.
defense, and we haven't seen that type of, just sort of like, when's the last time you saw a real rip your heart out kind of like
Right.
attitude? I know Mike Daniel is a pretty good player when he was with us, and he maybe talked more than he even produced on the field. I mean, he was a good player, and so he maybe fit that mold. But I'm trying to think, Nick Perry wasn't that guy, and Clay Matthews was a fiery kind of player.
Yeah, but 3 years maybe past his
3
prime.
years past his prime, probably. I think he's playing okay for
The Rams,
The
yeah.
Rams now, but I think just the collective attitude of this group, and I think even Rodgers said that in the past the Packers have sort of had cornerbacks where when a big stud receiver is coming to town, maybe they weren't up to the task, and these guys are looking forward to
Yes.
hitting guys and taking on the biggest challenge. I think Jair is a star in the making.
Oh,
I mean,
without
Kevin
question.
King, if he can stay healthy, is great. I think Savage, like you said, is great. I think Amos was a great pickup. And the Smiths are doing great. I mean, even Rashawn Gary had a sack this last game. He made a nice move.
Yes, they're
And to get
slowly working him in,
and
which is
that's
probably smart.
I think
Yes.
it's smart too. And don't get him out there, he's over his head or whatever, and
Right.
trying to learn a system and all these kinds of things, a new position.
And
almost.
lose confidence right
Lose
away.
confidence and not be successful. I mean, I think they're doing the smart thing, and you saw, I think, of some flashes of that. He also recovered the fumble.
Yes.
And they're taking away the ball. So it's been phenomenal to watch
It
as
has.
a Packers fan.
It's nice to see a Packers defense play physical, be confident,
Yeah.
and be aggressive.
It's sort of like I think being confident and being aggressive, they're the ones who are setting the tone.
Right. Instead
For
of
the toughness, instead of being
The offense
constantly on their,
dictating, yes.
constantly on their heels and kind of backpedaling the whole game. It's like they're just kind of bring it.
and offensively, I think we knew there'd be growing pains.
Yeah.
It's a totally new offense.
I think you hope that
new
there's not,
coach.
but yeah.
Right. They haven't turned the ball over, which
Right.
is huge.
Yeah.
And they're gradually making progress. They're having some stupid little mistakes here
Right.
and there, but I think they're going to iron those out, and I think you're going to see that offense gradually get better and better all year. And then, if you got all phases, special teams have been
Yeah.
somewhat surprisingly good for once
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
We're not having a penalty every kick and field goal, and
Yeah.
our punter is J.K. Scott has been outstanding.
MVP.
Yep.
Yeah.
So nothing but reason for optimism, I think, in Packerland.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to get better. I like the commitment to run. And whether you're trading, keeping it even carries between Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, I think it's smart.
Yep.
That's kind of the direction the league is in now. You don't have just like, except for a few exceptions, just one guy carrying the ball in most cases. And I think you look at the talent that we have on receiver, MVS,
Yep. Marquez
Devontae,
Valdez,
yeah.
Scantling. Yep.
Devontae. I think Geronimo's kind of dropped the ball literally.
Yes. Yes.
A little bit too much, but I think that they've got the pieces. And Rodgers, still think he's made some boneheaded throws too and airmailed a couple.
Yes.
But he didn't play all preseason, and maybe you can kind of chalk it up to that. But I think the point is that, and I think we can agree on this, we're going to see a team that's better in December and January than we're seeing right now in early September.
If they can stay healthy,
If
which
they
is
can
always
stay-
a big
right.
thing with the Packers. So,
Yeah.
and through 3 weeks, a big game here coming up Thursday
Yeah.
against the Eagles. They have been able to stay healthy, so hopefully that's a trend in our favor here this season. And I think we have reason to be very cautiously optimistic.
Right.
I would like to see Rodgers take the underneath stuff, which is really
Yeah.
head coach Matt LaFleur's
And he's done
kinda
it,
MO.
I think, for a series
Right.
at a time.
Yeah, but
not
he's always looking for the
consistently.
big play,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they need him to kind of maybe put his ego in the background a little bit
Right.
and just run the offense, and I think we'll see a lot better
Yeah,
results.
If he's throwing 230, 240 yards, a touchdown or two a game, and we're winning, I'm perfectly happy.
And you would hope that he's happy. That I
Yes.
guess that's. Hopefully,
Aaron,
he
if
doesn't
you're
need more
watching-
than that, right? If you're watching the BS report, Aaron, which I'm sure you are, please take our advice.
Any prediction for Philadelphia? on
It
a
scares
Thursday?
me, to
Does
be
it?
honest.
Yeah.
You know, they're 1-2. They're a very good team.
Yeah.
They're getting some players
Yeah, I
back.
saw that too.
They almost have to win this game.
Yeah. Dallas is kind of running away with that, or could if.
Yes, right, with that division. So I saw Za'Zarius Smith have a comment today that, or Preston Smith, that they're treating this like they're playing the Super Bowl champions. And
Sure.
I think that's a great attitude to take into this game. I think it's one they need. I think they can move the ball against the Eagles. And that defense is, no one's been able to really gouge them yet. So I'll say, I think it's a 4-point spread right now, and I think that's about right. Maybe 24-20 Packers. How
All
about
right.
you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Packers win, 143 to no.
Wow. So the offense is going to break out.
The
You're
offense
saying?
is gonna break out in a huge way. No, I think you're right. It's kind of got that feel of like, it's not really a trap game, I guess. I mean, you're playing at home. It is Thursday night. It's a short week, so I don't know how much. I don't know. Maybe that benefits the home team a little bit because they don't have to travel.
Right.
But yeah, I think the Packers are going to win. It's probably going to be closer than what people think. I saw some predictions that it's going to be some kind of blowout for the Packers, and I kind of doubt it. But with the defense playing the way that it is, and I think the offense, hopefully, I know the defensive line for the Eagles is pretty good.
Very
One of
good.
the better lines.
Yes.
So I guess maybe that's what's going to tell the story, is if our offensive line is up to the challenge. Give Rodgers a little bit of time, and I guess we'll see what happens. But
Yep.
I'm expecting the Packers to win. I'll say, what did they score last week? 27.
27-16.
I'll say 28.
Whew, one more
to,
point, huh?
28-21. How about?
Wow, putting up 21 against our defense, huh?
Sure. I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, I'm just saying numbers. So.
It's tough, you know. I mean, a short week is tough.
Yeah.
I thought the Denver game was a potential trap game for them,
Yeah,
you know.
'cause they're-
2 big division wins and then a team that's 0-2, but they showed that they're not messing around.
Yeah.
They're taking every team seriously and doing what they have to do to win. If they can get some turnovers tomorrow night,
That'd be huge.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, keep that going.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much, I think, what we've got here for tonight. Again, we want to thank Malarkey's for letting us join them at their lovely facilities here. It is a
Yeah.
really nice place. We actually come here just for the fun of it.
Great food and weekends, great music usually here to see if you
Yeah.
have a chance. It's
400
usually very
blocks
good.
right out the window. I mean,
Yep. Beautiful. The
and-
square.
Yeah, and of course, you can check out all the local sports action on the Wausau Pilot and Review every day. We're either doing recaps or we're live at some game. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I said, I'll be at Wausau West versus Everest this week. Should be a good one. And we're kind of looking at East and Medford also.
East and Medford, a tough one for the Lumberjacks on Friday, and we'll have some Wausau West and Spash tennis, which could be for the conference title on Thursday. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep it tuned here. We'll check back next week with the BS report. See you next time.
Let us know how much BS you think there was. So.
Okay.